Good morning. Welcome to the American Heritage School Foundations Training 2016. My name is Grant Beckwith, Principal, and it is a privilege to have you with us this morning. Literally, the early bird goes to, the one goes to those who came early with all this curriculum out here. We hope that you've got some things that you can use. We're going to go ahead and begin by singing on hymn number 85, How Firm a Foundation. We've got the words right here. Rob Swenson, our choir director, will be the chorister, accompanist Donna Patton, and we will have an opening prayer by Ed Rowe, the new Institutional Advancement Director at American Heritage School, coming from Washington, D.C. Glad to have you with us, Ed. Following which we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's go ahead and begin on hymn number 85, How Firm a Foundation.
Our beloved Father in heaven, we come before thee this day as parents, as educators and friends, with deep love in our heart for thee and for thy children. We ask thee that as we meet this day and throughout this week, that thy Spirit could attend us as we seek to learn from thee and from others the important values and principles that will help us in our desire and efforts to help educate the hearts and minds of thy children, our great youth. We express gratitude unto thee, Father, for this opportunity to be together. We pray that thou would bless those who present and bless us in our conversations. We thank thee for these wonderful facilities, for so many people who have made American Heritage possible. We love thee, Father. We are grateful for the plan of salvation. We're grateful for thy Son, Jesus Christ. We worship thee in all that we do. And this we say humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Well, thank you. We have approximately 300 people registered for this conference, more than we've ever had, and we are grateful for all of the efforts, the time, the planning that has gone in to putting this together. We probably should just recognize a few people before we begin. First of all, we have with us trustees and former trustees of the school. If they could just raise their hand, we would like to say hello to you. Trustees and former trustees. There's Dan. Dan, welcome. Jill. Okay, more coming. New faculty and staff who are joining us, some for the first time today. Could you just raise your hand? New faculty and staff, we are so honored to have you with us. We'll be introducing you by name tomorrow and then Friday at our faculty retreat in Provo Canyon. Looking forward to that. Newly admitted families to the school. Raise your hand if you are a newly admitted family to the school. We actually require this training of all families new to the school, at least one parent, at least one time for this day. We know it's a sacrifice to come on a summer morning with so much going on, especially in June. But we honor you for doing this and trust that it will lay a firm foundation for your experience here at American Heritage School. We also have American Heritage School Latter-day Learning or family school families that are here. Some have come from quite a distance. I know that Angie's here from Nebraska, but raise your hands, Latter-day Learning families. Angie Bladd, and how much further have you come? Anyone further than Nebraska? Tennessee, I think we've got Tennessee. Tennessee and Nebraska, okay. Wonderful. Thank you for being here. We hope you'll particularly enjoy the giveaways here on the table out here. By the way, just make sure you take things from this side of the hall, not that side of the hall. That's over there. That's samples of our curriculum, kindergarten through 12th grade, that have been brought out from classrooms. So we would hate for that to walk away. We also have guests from other schools who are educators, teachers, policymakers. Could we have you raise your hand if you're here from another school? Wonderful. I understand that we have approximately 24 from American Heritage Academy of Henderson, Nevada. Is that right? Okay, who else do we have other than the American Heritage Academy? Do we have some other co-ops, home schools? Right here from Liberty Hills in Bountiful. Is that correct? Thank you for coming. Okay. And then, of course, we have administration and faculty who have served as our organizing committee, and we need to give them a big round of applause, all the time and the effort that went into putting on this conference. I could name names, but I'm not going to take the time to do that just because there are so many of them, starting with the curriculum committee of the board, which is really the oversight committee for this Foundations Training Week, and going through so many of our administrators and teachers. We also have with us special guest presenters. Some of them are here today, some will be coming throughout the week. This is the first day of a 5-day conference that we hold every year. We've been doing this for over 20 years now, and it gets refined each year. We'll have an evaluation form for you so you can help us improve it for next year, and you'll all be invited each year to come and be a part of this as we continue and improve. All right, what you should have in your hand. We've got these wonderful notebooks. We're grateful to Angela Davidson, Chris McKinley, Nancy Morrill, who have taken the time, and presenters to put this together. I would like, just as I begin my devotional to start this morning off, I would like to have you turn to the Day 1 scheduled plenary session section. You can see the agenda for the day. We'll be turning the time here to Dan Burton to give remarks on behalf of our board in just a moment. Bios for the presenters are next. And then the mission statement of the school. Have I confused anyone yet? Mission statement should be under the first tab, says Plenary Session Day 1. The next page is the philosophy statement of American Heritage School that was written in 1969 by Verlin Anderson. You'll be amazed at how consistent the mission of the school has remained through the years. On the back side of that piece of paper are some notes that Verlin Anderson made. And I was interested to know, as I pulled this from my files, and I've got so many of these history files, that the anchor scripture for the school, which is the two great commandments, to love God and to love our neighbor to love God with all of our heart, might, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves, were the two that he chose as part of that philosophy statement process that he went through. You can read that little note that he wrote. And then, of course, his last conference talk in 1991, Elder Verlin Anderson at the time. Some remarks from Gaylord Swim, another one of the school's founding fathers, about our mission and what each of the points in the mission statement mean. A little bit about my experience coming to American Heritage School and coming to understand the connection between our country's Christian heritage and liberty, and particularly how self-government is implied and required in that kind of Christian liberty. You can read that. We might come back to that a little bit. A little bit more about the history of the school. This 40th anniversary, October 2009 edition, just walks you through some of the history from 1875 to present, and then the next newsletter is a little bit more depth on the history from 1875 to 1869, when the BY Academy was closed. So if you want to spend a little time just getting familiar with the history of the school, you can do that. This next piece of paper, and I'm sorry, this is a bit of just a race through this. I just want to have you aware of what's here for you, is a summary that we give with each self-directed study to each new family to the school that helps them to become acquainted to the principal approach. From the Foundation for American Christian Education, and this explains to you what our relationship with FACE, Foundation for American Christian Education, is. Particularly on that backside, if you'll notice that little bulleted list from Gaylord Swim, that this FACE methodology that we use in part with the Restored Gospel, in part with other great and inspired books and methodologies, it's inspired, it's compatible with the Restored Gospel, it's compatible with principles of faith, sacrifice, and patriotism, it develops character, and it does a lot of other wonderful things. And we like to lock arms with Christians of goodwill and good understanding everywhere at American Heritage School. And you'll hear a little bit more about that as Stan Swim talks about the history of the school and Dan Burton, our mission. Okay, well, some of you know that I've been talking a little bit about some national trends. Here are some of them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You can read faster than I can talk. But when I think about some of these trends, in my mind's eye, I see this sort of brewing storm cloud, right? The portent of stormy weather. And yet, what I feel is what I felt last week as I was up to Silver Lake here in American Fork Canyon. I feel beauty everywhere and hope and light. How many of you have been to Silver Lake, by the way, up American Fork Canyon and Silver Glance Lake, these glacial lakes that are up there? Spent some time with my family walking and thinking, pondering some of this portent of stormy weather and American Heritage School's role, my role as a parent in what's coming in our country, in our homes, in our communities. And as we walked along this water and these beautiful paths, again, I couldn't be more full of hope, in part because of this rising generation. And here's one of them, just one. This is my daughter. She and so many others like her are what gives me so much hope. They are so full of light. And they're also not taking themselves too seriously, which helps me not to take myself too seriously. And I don't think we should take ourselves too seriously, even as we talk about things that matter most. Sometimes I get a little too carried away. Science teachers, this walk included some beautiful mountain ferns. I don't know what kind these are. Do you know, Karen? Any botanists in the room? These were beautiful. The rising generation, what are they? Is it a lily? Well, this whole field of aspens, this whole aspen grove was full of these lilies. And again, this rising generation astounds me, and they humble me. They are creative beyond imagination. I saw lilies, and I was taking pictures like there was just no tomorrow. My daughter saw hats in the lilies. Their creativity, their commitment to Christ, from whence they came so recently, children, so recently from the veil, is something that inspires us on every turn. This is a picture I saw in the hallway just before school was out. These are the reasons for which I and we should be so full of hope, even amidst a portent of stormy weather. And this is the rising army of Helaman. And it is not just an LDS army. It is an army of people of good faith around the world who know who they are. Divine sons and daughters of God who have a purpose that transcends making money and getting into college. This is Josh Crockett, and this is his mother at our recent graduation. And when I saw this picture, I thought, another thing that gives me hope are the hands that rock the cradles of this rising generation. Josh Crockett was our valedictorian. He stood at the pulpit and he spoke about the story of Joshua. Sanctify yourselves, for on the morrow I will do wonders among you. These are the images, these are the principles, and these are the people who give me so much hope. So that rising storm cloud, that portent of stormy weather, is real. It exists, but it has existed from the dawn of man. And when we combine the Christian church and the Christian home with the Christian school, and I would add the Christian home school, because every family is a family school. When we put those three together, another image comes to mind. And the clouds are still there. But what I see are these firm foundations, this city on a hill. Take a look at that spring 2013 newsletter. Take a look at Ronald Reagan's reminiscences about a city on the hill. One of the things that he said when he spoke about the city on the hill is that the doors are open to all who choose it, to all who will come. It is not closed. It is open, although it is a climb to get to the city on a hill. And it stands above the clouds. And beneath the clouds is that storm. Beneath the clouds is that raucousness of the golden calves. And we stand above it in vision and in confidence and in hope. What we are doing today, what we are doing in our homes, and what we are doing this week in our schools is changing and saving lives. And here's just a little bit of empirical evidence about what we are doing. These are the statistics of 6 years of graduates from American Heritage School. We are focusing on what matters most. And it's a privilege and an honor and a joy to be involved with that work. Thank you for coming and being a part of American Heritage School, of our family school program, 55 countries, approximately 12,000 students around the country. This is not just a school in American Fork. This is a movement. And it is a movement that locks arms again with people of good faith around the world.